On YouTube. Boop, 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 boop. Little Metal Foxes, tool tips with me and Helen and Julia. What are we going to talk about today, ladies? All right, here we go. Ready? Here we are.
Oh,
All right. Hi, everybody. It's me, Jennifer from Little Metal Foxes,
Julia from Little Metal Foxes.
and
Ellen from Little Metal Foxes.
yay, live from Australia, live from Seattle. It's
Boop,
Little
boop.
Metal Foxes. That's right. Well, hello, ladies. So we are now over like 200 tooltips on our YouTube channel. So
I forgot to get some
Yay.
water. I'm gonna get some water. I'm still
okay,
here. I'm still listening. I'm still
okay.
on the microphone. I just need
And
water.
we just celebrated our 5-year anniversary. So happy 5-year anniversary to everybody. Um, very excited about that. And still growing strong. Boop, 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 boop. Tooltip Tuesdays. And so we've got a lot of them all these Tuesdays. So I wanted to talk to you guys. We've talked about burrs in the past, but I wanted to sort of say about cup burrs in particular, because these little guys, these little suckers will change your life if you have them in the studio, and I love them. So I want
They
to show you
will.
two different kinds. So if you are, out there, and how many people are watching us right now? A whole bunch. Hit that like button. Boop. And then while you're at it, subscribe. So we can bring you more tool tips, and you know when we're here. There's two kinds of cup burrs that are good for all kinds of different things. You can use them with a flex shaft, but for those of you that are like, I just do wire work and I make earrings out of wire or whatever, and you're filing and sanding the ends of your earring wires, no more, I tell you. If you're doing, little prong settings or wire settings, don't file those little guys, because you'll like hit your stone and scratch it, and that's not good. So I want to show you a really good solution. What do you say?
I say
Do
let's
it.
do it.
Let's do it. Okay. So I'm going to switch my camera here and show you these two types. Here we go. All right. Switch my little camera here. There we are. Let me jump right over here. Here we go. Okay. So one of the things I'm working on right now, I've got a little pair of earrings that is, there we go. So I got some earrings that have little prong settings and earring wires. And there are a couple of things I can use to finish the ends of all of my little prongs and earring wires. So if you're doing like a file and sandpaper, no more, I tell you. So what I've got is two different styles of cup burrs here. And I think, yeah, I got one in the wrong place. There we go. So one style is a standard concave burr. So this is, there we go. So you can kind of see that a little bit. On the inside of this, you can see there's like little teeth. Can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
See the little teeth, and they cut on the inside. And so what happens is, as they're cutting the end of your wire, and you want to have a burr that's just slightly larger than the end of your wire here. And with this one, it cuts and then channels the swarf out the edges, so
Mm-hmm.
sort of out the bottom of the burr. But with the say the twin cut burr like this one,
Mm-hmm.
it's got, let's see if I can get up really
I
close.
was gonna say, could you get a little closer?
Yeah. There we go. So with the twin
Not
cut,
quite. There we go. There we go.
yeah,
There
you
we
can
go.
see it's got like two,
Splits.
yeah, two splits in the burr itself, right?
Right.
So this acts like a pencil sharpener and kicks the swarf out the side of the
Mm-hmm.
burr rather than pushing it down the blade on the inside. So the other burrs get, clogged pretty easily. because what it's trying to
I
do,
was going to say, can you hold both of them up at the same
yeah.
time?
So you can see how this one has like multiple teeth on the inside, but that gets clogged pretty quick. And the twin cut is like, that's this one, is like a
Mhm.
pencil sharpener, and it definitely gets the swarf out. So this one just clogs a little more easily. The standard cut burrs like this one, you can get in a lot of different sizes.
Mhm.
And they do come a little bit bigger. So if you're doing like larger prongs, even for square wire, these work really well. The twin cuts are kind of limited in how big they go up. I have not found them over about 3 millimeters, but the standard ones you can usually get in a much larger size.
So you can
So,
use the standard ones for square wire.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it'll totally round the end of your wire really nicely. So with these, if you're, kind of have your burr over the end of it, and you don't have to have it, the same size as your wire because you don't want to cut into the end of the wire. You want to sort of round the end of it. So basically what you're doing is giving it like twist and kind of rounding the end as you go, and that will round off the end of the wire really nicely. If you're using a flex shaft, that goes really quickly. If you're using, but you can also, here we go.
So
You,
you wait a minute, let me go back a second.
yeah,
So you want to use a cup burr whose interior diameter is slightly larger than the exterior diameter of your wire. Is that
right,
what you were saying?
right.
So that you don't cut a groove into the top of your wire.
Exactly, yeah, because it will cut the top of the wire. Um,
Because,
but
teeth.
yeah, so if you're just sort of, you can do it by hand, and look how shiny and clean that
Oh,
makes
you
that.
have to back up a little bit. It's not, oh, there we go. Or come forward. Yeah, no, there you
Yeah.
can see it's nice.
So, and that just took a second. So you can do that in the end of a pen vise.
Mm-hmm.
Let me move this back down here a little bit. Ooh, focusing, focusing.
There we
There
go.
we go. All right. So a lot of people that do, kind of bead work and wire work, will use these just in something like a pen vise or a vise-like holder,
Mm-hmm.
and will just sort of, finish the ends of the wire by hand. But the flex shaft does a great job of just, zoop, cleaning that end right off. But you do want to make sure you kind of go slow with the flex shaft and make sure you're lubricating your burr ends or your burrs, because that'll help it cut more smoothly and keep them from getting clogged. If it does get clogged, you can use a needle, and I usually have a needle like in my pen vise in the other end, um, and just do a little. Here we go, and just sort of scrape, 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 scrape on the ones that are the concave burrs.
Mm-hmm.
On the twin cuts, you really don't even need to do that because it's expelling the swarf out the sides. So yeah, this gives you a couple of different ways to smooth those wires down. The other thing that is kind of interesting that you'll find, because most of these have a like a cylinder side, right? They're kind of, whoop, I'll come back up here. There you go. So they usually have like a cylinder side like this.
Mm-hmm.
Another type that you'll see that looks like a cone shape,
Mm-hmm.
whoop, shape. And that is so that you have a little more agility when you're trying to set prongs that are really close to one another. It is
Okay.
not a point, which
You don't have any of those, I take it.
I don't. I've used them at the production studio, but
Mm.
I don't have them for my own studio. But they are kind of nice because instead of being the cylinder shape, they're cut back more. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to get into narrower spaces, the little cone shapes can be nice, but they are still cutting a round end on the wire. They
Okay.
are not cutting a point, um,
Right.
which a lot of people are like, wait, why isn't it pointy?
Right.
Thinking that they can use them for something like pins or something,
Right.
and it doesn't work that way. But
Speaking of production, I liked your comment about how to do if you're
oh
doing
yeah,
production.
oh yeah.
That
So so what I'll do for production purposes is I have a holder for my flex shaft here. Whoop, there we go. So I have like a holder here. Get on there. Hello. There we go. So I have a holder like this, and the flex shaft fits in like so. And then I can put in my, there we go. There we go. I can put in the cup burrs. And I will usually use liquid burlap instead of the wax version when I
Mm-hmm.
make these. That also kind of helps them from getting clogged too badly because it's more of a, it's already kind of slippery,
Mm-hmm.
right? There we go. Come here, you.
And then what do? Do you just dip the wire in the liquid burlap?
You can do that, sure. What I usually do is just is this. So I'll take my finger on the end and just
Oh,
put
okay.
the tip like that, right?
That makes sense.
And then as I'm working on, 100 different ear wires, I can just be like, doop, and grab the next one and just round it up and, give it a feel and then go to the next one. And so I'm not having to like pick this up and put it down. It makes it a lot easier on my wrist.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I'm doing, like I said, square wire, this will round the end of your square wire, which is really nice.
I think that's really interesting. I had
Yeah.
not heard about using it on square wire, but that
Yeah.
does make sense that you're basically knocking off the corners and
Yep.
making a nice rounded edge.
Yep. And you need to go a good bit bigger, with the square wire. So the standard ones work great for that, but you do
Mm-hmm.
have to go significantly larger. So, but with this, I mean, even with like the ends of my wire pieces like this, I can actually, clean those up with these cut burrs. And
You have too small of a cup burr on there. Is that what's
I
going on?
do, yeah. So right
Right.
now my cut burr and my wire are the same size.
Right. That's not
And,
good.
and that's not good because what it will do is actually cut the end of cut like a little
Right.
circular track or a little gouge into the end. So I always want to use a cup burr that will fit comfortably over the end. Get
Right.
my big one out here. There we go. Yeah. So I can use one that's a little bit bigger that will actually fit over the end that I can kind of easily twirl about and, clean up the end and round it
Mm-hmm.
off. Yeah. So this really does a great job of evening everything up, making it look consistent. And yeah, so cup burrs, yay. The other thing I'll say, because these do have that cylinder side, when you're setting the prongs down on a stone, you can, like before I do my last push down, I usually will take my cup burr and, clean up the prongs and then do that last little push down. But because they're smooth on the sides, they don't generally cut my stone.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'll use, and I've got like little bits of plastic, like quick, or not quick, but crisp plastic. And sometimes I'll save like the lid off of a drink, you know,
Mm-hmm.
fast food drink. So I have like a little bit of plastic and I'll just put it under the prong. And that way I can do that without it coming any place near my stone. And
Right.
it's great if I'm filing, sanding, or using any sort of finishing tools. But the cup burrs, because they're rounded and smooth, don't usually cut into or scratch your stones. So,
The
and,
polyurethane sheet, the tough break works well for that too.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Protecting your stone or protecting whatever the surface is you're trying to protect.
Yeah, and I like this because it's so stiff and thin and hard. I
Mm-hmm.
can like slip it underneath the prong, like
Fair. Yeah, the tough break is much more flexible, so it's
yeah,
not going to slip under something as easily.
right, right. But yeah, so if you've been spending all this time working on your filing and sanding and then using a pumice wheel and all the steps that you go through to get that stuff done, this will save you a ton of time. And I'll still sometimes hit it with a polishing silicone wheel, but it saves so much time and really saves so much risk because I'm not at risk of scratching my stone in the same way I was with sandpaper and a file edge. So
Even though if you're going to use a file, you want to make a safe edge on your file, but still.
yeah, because still you've got teeth,
Right, that's why you make a safe edge.
Well, still you've got teeth on the face. And if you go across the wrong way, you're still in risk.
True. Yes. If you slip and turn it flat way. Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. hmm And Helen, you said you just got, as you're settling into your studio, you said you just got yours all set
Yep,
up.
I got all my sets of burrs, and I was like, "There are my cup burrs." Bink. So they're now in their place in the studio.
Handy,
Very
handy
excited.
dandy.
Very
Yeah.
excited to get everything finally organized. That's the plan today is to sorry.
Get that studio organized.
Well, just to do all the little things. I have a lot of boxes that I need to get out of there. So
Yeah.
I'll be
Yeah.
taking my hand cart to the studio today.
Yay. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you were able to teach your first class from your new studio in
I
Australia.
know, it was very exciting.
Yay. All right, everybody. Well, we hope you have a wonderful week. And if you're using, either a different cup burr or you have a favorite or a way that you like finishing the ends of your wires that might be different that you found works really well, let us know. Put it down in the chat. And if you'd like to see anything, a tool tip that we haven't done yet or something that you're really curious about, again, do it in the chat. Let us know. Let us hear from you. And or if you're like, what is this magic? And give it a try. And yeah, we'd
I
love
know. I didn't know about the twin cut burr thing.
the
I
twin
was like,
cups are my favorite.
I need to go get some.
Yeah, because they
They're
do
pretty
not
amazing.
clog.
Yeah.
They do not clog. And it's just like if they do, you can go flick and it's done. So yeah, the other ones get like gunked up and so, but yeah, the twin cuts, mm, they're so awesome. They're so fast. They're really
Yeah.
fast. You have to be a little bit careful because it's just like, like pencil sharpen the end of it into a nice
Done.
round shape. And if you go too, it's like putting your pencil into an electric pencil sharpener for the first time. You're like,
Yeah.
oh
Whoops.
no. So yeah, don't get carried away. But yeah, don't go too fast. The little teeth need a second to bite into the metal, and that's why it works well, with a hand tool or going slow with your flex shaft. So there you go. Here's your tool tip for today. So, all right. You guys have a great week. We'll see you next week on Tool Tip Tuesday. We've got a couple of fun people coming up, so we will let you know. And if you missed last week, go see it with Liza from the Champion Silverworks, talking about pitch and all kinds of things. So go check that one out. All right, you guys. See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Hit that like button.
Subscribe.